Hey folks, welcome to the channel. In this video, I'm going to teach you some basics when it comes to using and maintaining cast iron skillets. Now, cast iron is some of the most versatile cookware that you can own. It's a little extra work, but it's non-stick when it's seasoned well. It gets really hot and it maintains heat and it distributes the heat out so that you can cook evenly, which is perfect for searing steaks and doing things of that nature. We use ours a lot of times to bake cornbread, biscuits. I've roasted chickens in cast iron skillets before. You can use it just about for anything that you'd want to cook. You notice this meat didn't stick to the pan, and look at the sear on this. It's even and it's very nice and brown. Fried up a little beef tenderloin, and we just cooked some bow tie pasta and put a jar of Classico store-bought Alfredo sauce in it. A little quick and easy weeknight supper. Now for the dreaded part, that is to wash the skillet. This skillet's still pretty hot. We just took the meat out of it a few minutes ago, and this is the best time to wash it. If you've allowed it to cool off, turn the burner back on for a few minutes, and sometimes I'll even put a half of an inch or so of water in the bottom and let it boil for just a minute or two to help loosen some of that up. So you just want to run a little hot water in there, and I'm going to start by sort of scraping some of the bigger stuff off, all the way around. And then I'll just take the bristles on this brush and just scrub it, and a lot of that's starting to come out. Have to use just a little bit of elbow grease. Now this skillet is almost finished. I think that's it. Might have missed a little place. I'll just give it one final little rinse out. Alright, the next step, take a towel, and I just like to dry the inside of mine out. I'll even hit the outside just a little bit just to make sure it's dry. And then I'm going to bring it back over to the stove and put it on the burner. Use any kind of cooking oil you've got. You can use grapeseed oil, avocado oil, flaxseed oil. You can use just regular vegetable oil. I'll cook with a lot of olive oil here, and I'm going to put just a little bit. You don't need much, maybe about the size of a quarter or so. And then I'm going to take a good towel and a dry towel and just wipe that all around the bottom and the sides. You don't want to put too much on there, but you want to coat it good. And then I'm going to turn this burner back on high heat, and I'm going to let this skillet heat back up for just a couple of minutes. Once the skillet's good and hot, I'll just go ahead and shut the heat off, let that skillet cool off before you put it up, and it's ready to use the next time. Now I want to talk about restoring a skillet that needs to be re-seasoned. This skillet is an old one that we've had in storage for quite a while, and I want you to notice there's a little rust inside it and the bottom and on the outside of it. This one's not really in too bad of shape, but it needs to be cleaned, the rust taken off, and it needs to be re-seasoned, and I'm going to show you how to do that. The first step though is to get this rust off and give it a good cleaning. Now on that other skillet, I used this brush to clean it with, and this is very handy, something with some good bristles on it. It's even got a little scraper on the end. That works perfect. And you notice I didn't use any dishwashing liquid or anything when I cleaned it the first time. A little plastic scraper, something like this one. This one works great as well. But in this case, I am going to use some soap, and I'm going to use a Brillo soap pad. I'm just going to run some hot water in it, and I'm going to just start scrubbing around the inside and try to take off all this rust that I can. This is going to be the one time that it's okay to use soap. Once you get a seasoning built up on one of these, you really don't want to use any kind of detergent or dishwashing liquid unless you absolutely have to, because once you do that, it's going to take your seasoning off and you're going to have to start over again from the beginning. So I'll just do it just like this. You can also use some coarse salt, like kosher salt or something, and that just gives you something to scrub with. A lot of folks do that. In this case, I like a SOS or a Brillo pad. It's going to take a little bit of time and elbow grease on to show this one to you. The rust is gone, but some of that old seasoning is still on here, and it's built up over the years. The bottom of it is in pretty decent shape. You notice it's kind of shiny looking, but around the sides there's still a little bit of that old seasoning. So I'm going to scrub it just a little bit more and try to get all that off if I can, and then I'll wipe it down with some oil and we'll stick it in the oven for a little while. I wiped this skillet down with a little bit of oil, and I've got it in the oven on 400 degrees. I'm going to leave it in here for 45 minutes to an hour, and then I'll take it out and repeat the same process probably 2 more times, and that should be a good base layer of seasoning on this skillet for you. So I repeated the process a couple more times, and this skillet's been in the oven a total of 3 times with a thin layer of oil on it. So to give it a little test to see how the seasoning is at this point, I'm going to try to fry an egg in it. Here comes the moment of truth. I messed up the egg toss just a little bit, but as you can see, it didn't stick. So once you get a good layer of seasoning on the skillet, it's going to be non-stick. And the more you cook with it, the more of that seasoning will be on there, and the better it will be. But when you clean it, if you remember earlier in the video, I didn't use any kind of detergent, no dishwashing liquid or soap or anything. Try to avoid that if at all possible, because that's going to strip your seasoning off and you'll have to start over every time that you do that. Just use something coarse like some salt or a good coarse scrubbing pad, a brush with some good coarse bristles on it, and some hot water. That will be your friend, and you'll be able to keep it clean. Once you get it clean, make sure to thoroughly dry it and put a little bit of oil on it, especially if it's going to be stored for a few days or a week or two. That way you don't get any kind of rust or anything.